Have you ever wondered how you could build a nation around a tribe that has no land to its name? Well, today we're going to dive into this incredible logistical puzzle from the book of Joshua. It's a fascinating story about keeping a promise, and it all revolves around a plan for 48 very special towns.
So, right off the bat, here's the central problem. Imagine you're in charge of building a new nation, and you're carving up all the territory. But there's a huge catch. Your spiritual leaders, arguably the most important tribe, aren't supposed to get any land at all. How on earth do you make that work? How do you make sure they can not only survive, but actually thrive?
All right, so the people at the very heart of this challenge, they were the Levites. They were the priestly class of ancient Israel, and their totally unique situation is the key to understanding this entire brilliant plan.
So here's the deal. The Levites were tasked with all of the nation's most vital religious duties. Teaching the law, leading worship, taking care of the sacred sites. And because their inheritance was seen as their sacred service itself, they weren't given a big chunk of real estate like the other tribes got. They were, by design, completely landless.
But here's the thing. This wasn't some big surprise. This situation didn't catch anyone off guard at all. The leaders of Israel knew this day was coming, because a promise had been made a whole generation earlier that laid the groundwork for a very, very specific solution.
So the leaders of the Levite families, they go right up to Joshua, the new leader of Israel, and they don't come asking for a favor. They come to collect on a promise. They remind him of this command from way back from Moses, saying they were supposed to get towns to live in with pasture lands for their animals.
And this is just so important to get. The Levite status wasn't a mistake that needed fixing. It wasn't an oversight. This meant the solution had to be just as intentional, woven right into the fabric of the new nation to fulfill a much greater purpose. And that solution is what we're calling the Allotment Blueprint. It's a detailed, systematic plan to distribute towns, placing them strategically throughout the entire nation.
The answer to the whole landless tribe problem comes down to this one single, elegant number, 48. This wasn't just a random figure they pulled out of a hat. It was a carefully calculated solution to make sure the Levites had what they needed to do their jobs for all of Israel.
But it wasn't just a random list of 48 towns. See, the Levites were made up of 3 main family clans, and the towns were divided up specifically among them. The Kohathites got 23, the Gershonites got 13, and the Merarites got 12.
Okay, let's zoom in on the headliners here. The direct descendants of Aaron, who were the high priests. They were part of that Kohathite clan and were given 13 towns. And look where those towns came from. Powerful southern tribes like Judah, the future royal line, and Benjamin. Pretty strategic placement.
And get this, there's another incredible layer to this plan. Some of these Levitical towns had a special status as cities of refuge. Hebron was one of them. These were basically safe zones. If someone accidentally killed another person, they could run there for asylum and a fair trial, safe from any kind of vigilante justice.
The rest of the Kohathites? Well, they received 10 more towns, this time from the tribes in the center of the country, like Ephraim and Dan. And one of those towns was Shechem, which was another one of those crucial cities of refuge.
Next up, the Gershonites. They received their 13 towns from tribes up in the north and the east. So now you can really start to see the map filling in. The Levite presence is methodically spreading across the entire land of Israel.
And finally, to wrap it all up, the Merarite clans got the last 12 towns. These came from tribes like Reuben and Gad on the far side of the Jordan River, and from Zebulun. And just like that, boom, all 48 of the promised towns were accounted for. So we've seen the what and the how, but honestly, the most brilliant part of this whole plan is the why. Why not just give the Levites one big territory and call it a day? Why scatter them like this? Well, it turns out the scattering was the whole point.
This strategic placement made sure the Levites couldn't just become isolated in their own little corner. Instead, by living among every other tribe, they became the unifying thread of the entire nation. They were the local teachers, the judges, the spiritual guides that everyone had access to. This design built a consistent national identity. They were, quite literally, the glue holding it all together.
So you see, the successful allotment of these 48 towns wasn't just some logistical victory. It wasn't just checking a box. It was the final, crucial piece of a much, much larger story. A story about promises being made and, against all odds, every single one of them being kept.
When the final tally was taken, when the dust settled, the result was just absolute. The military campaign, a complete success.
Not a single enemy could stand against them. And even more importantly, the promises that had been made? A total success. Not one good promise had failed.
And this right here is the final, powerful declaration. This one sentence sums up everything, all the battles, the land distribution, and this incredibly intricate 48-town solution. It's a statement of total completion, a plan perfectly executed.
So it leaves us with this thought. We see plans fall apart or get compromised all the time, right? But this ancient story gives us this rare blueprint, a picture of what it looks like when every single detail of a grand, complex plan comes together exactly as it was meant to. It's really a testament to the power of a promise kept and a plan fulfilled down to the last detail.